And this was probably heading on 20 years ago now
Oh, wow.
that I got started doing mindfulness back in a time when mindfulness was still not as culturally acceptable. Now it's like everything. We see it everywhere. It's in the boardrooms. People are practicing it all over the business world. It's
Which is a great thing. That's a good
absolutely,
start. Yeah.
absolutely.
Here's what I mean by mindfulness didn't work. I want to make sure that I explain this because otherwise, it looks like the title was like clickbait or something,
Yeah.
but it's not. I genuinely mean mindfulness didn't work because you still had extreme anxiety. If mindfulness had worked, you wouldn't have suffered from that debilitating, because there were some mornings when you woke up and you couldn't do anything despite the mindfulness. That was one thing. And then the second thing is that it didn't help you get different results
Yeah.
in your business. And
Yeah.
this is really important, that it didn't change how you did business. It didn't change the results you got in your business. You still lost your business despite the mindfulness. And I think that's why I'm saying it didn't work for the results that you wanted.
Mindfulness was a great entree for me into doing this work, and it was absolutely, at the time, very effective coping strategy. It was something that I didn't have as a kid, and it was something that I was able to utilize that was putting a Band-Aid, perhaps, on things. And I also don't want to negate results that other people might be getting from mindfulness. The point here is that because of the unconscious references, because of what it was that I was holding on to, the things that were there in my subconscious mind were the triggers for that anxiety. The mindfulness wasn't addressing that. It wasn't changing that. So it wasn't until I started doing the work to change those references that I could actually see different results. Now, my experience with mindfulness, I was able to maybe bring down some of the stress in the moment. But again, when my life ran up against some life events, some life circumstances that threw me into, kind of that dark time. And that was around 2016 when I really felt like, despite everything that I was trying to do with mindfulness, I was waking up a lot of mornings with panic attacks and feeling like I was just in that debilitating place of anxiety and not being able to turn that around. When I was able to start addressing and changing the unconscious references that were there for the anxiety in my childhood and started to make those kind of shifts and changes, it's not that I abandoned the mindfulness techniques,
Absolutely.
because I still utilized the mindfulness techniques to be able to help moderate what I was feeling. But now that I was making those shifts, it was making an automatic change internally. I wasn't waking up with those panic attacks. I wasn't experiencing the level of anxiety as much as I was beginning to do this work.
Right. If you are using mindfulness and it works for you, fantastic. That's great. Continue to do that. The reason we're doing this video is for people who have been using mindfulness and it's not working for them. They're not feeling better. They're not able to break those patterns. They're not able to get the results they want from it. So maybe helping a little bit, but like it was for you, but it's not getting the results. And the reason is what's going on in the background is that as you are using mindfulness, so you're focusing on the practice, in the background, the unconscious part of your brain is referring to implicit childhood memories or unconscious childhood memories that prove who you are and how the world works, your unconscious self-image and worldview. And then that part of your brain is pumping stress chemicals into your system in response to those memories. You can do mindfulness all day, but if your brain contains proof you're in danger or you're not worthy, you're not good enough, or whatever it happens to be in your childhood that you are consciously unaware of, it's still going to continue to pump stress chemicals into your system regardless of what mindfulness or any other techniques you use. When you've got a high level of those stress chemicals in your system, it's much more difficult to feel the feel-good chemicals because the stress chemicals are stronger.
In order to make a more permanent change, it really is essential to go back and to be able to change those references. And that's the empowering bit about this, is that we can 100% change those references, even though we've experienced or carried those around for most of our lives, those feelings, those beliefs, those patterns. We don't have to stay stuck. We don't have to be married to those old feelings. That's the challenge, or the empowering part, to be able to do that. And once you're able to do that, once you're able to make those changes, then those triggers that were there, that were producing the anxiety to begin with,
They're not there anymore.
They're not there. That is one of those really kind of weird experiences initially. It's like to know that you've been anxious most of your life, and then to realize that that isn't there anymore. And it takes a little bit of practice to just get used to living into a new state. And I guess that's what we're about. That's our mission. That's what we're doing. All of the work that we're doing is to try to be able to empower others to be able to do that.
We have a free masterclass that goes through all of the details of what those references are and how to change them, how we changed ours so that we now get different results.